Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What you all the latest trending topics, we gon' talk about it. If you really about it, tune on in, no need to side it. Don't hit the like button and sign up to subscribe it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What you all the latest trending topics, we gon' talk about it. If you really about it, tune on in, no need to side it. Don't hit the like button and sign up to subscribe it. Let's start it off with Mr. Brady, play the game to win it. Whatever that you think you analyze, then he gon' spin it. C-note on the money, get it straight from the beginning. Hit you with some quotes before you know it's gon' be trending. These boys ain't no rookies, they some veterans like B.A. That's why we got real ones on the team like that boy T.A. No, I ain't for G.A., but I do keep it the G-way. Just like that boy Ant B when he breaking down the replay. Let me prick your brain, who you pick to win the game. Cause I can't pick a thing until I hear from Jamie Drain. Just sum it up, come have some fun with us from 8 to 9. We do this every Wednesday, talking sports, we going live. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What you all the latest trending topics, we gon' talk about it. If you really about it, tune on in, no need to side it. Don't hit the like button and sign up to subscribe it. Yeah, this following program is gonna be brought to you by Hello Black Man. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 to 9.
Yo, what's happening? We're back with another episode of Mike Talk Podcast.
This man a whole fool, bro.
This man
about to kill himself.
We back with another episode, man. That's all I'm letting you know, man. We back in the building, man. Another phenomenal episode, man. Listen, we're not gonna hold you long. We got some great topics lined up for tonight, and I think they will catch and pique your interest here in the sports world. We're gonna start out with the round ball, hard court, the floor. USA basketball versus the world. Will Team USA go undefeated, or will they experience at least one loss? And if they lose, who do you think their biggest threat is? Come on with it, TA.
I can't see them losing. I can't see it. KD hadn't played. That's another 25, 30 points on any given night. Yes, they played some close games. Canada, what was it, the Sudan the other day, or whoever they played, man. Listen, the world has caught up. They've closed the gap on the NBA talent and the world talent. We understand that. But what they have not done is proven that they can beat our best players when we send the best players in the NBA over in one collective unit to play. And I think that's what we have here. No, I can't see them losing to anybody now. Team Canada is nice. They're built for a situation where they have to see Team Canada. It can be a dog fight. You got Gilgeous-Alexander, you got Zach Edey, you got Dillon Brooks, you got RJ Barrett, one of your former. Is he still a Knick? He's in Toronto now, isn't he?
Toronto.
RJ Barrett.
Toronto.
RJ Barrett in Toronto.
Yeah,
man. Former Duke assassin, RJ Barrett. So you got some players with Team Canada, and obviously, France has Wimbiana, and your boy from wherever.
The shooter. Fournier.
And the defensive player of the year that can't guard nobody. Whatever that boy name is. The one that kept getting crossed over against the Mavericks. Gobert. Rudy. The stifle towel. So they got him.
Hey, the stagnant towel.
Right. So they got him. But no, just in reality, when I went and looked at it, no, I don't see Team USA losing.
I got it. See, no on the money. What you think? You got USA? No losses for the Olympics.
Well, let's kind of digest it, for a second. So when you think about it, the Team USA has no top 3 players on their team in the NBA. You just think about that for a second. You got everybody would agree for the most part that Joker, Luka, and probably Greek Freak probably would be your top 3 players in the whole NBA. So Team US don't have the top tier of the NBA, which they usually do when you go back to the Magics and the Jordans and those, and even when LeBron was in his prime with Kobe and all of them. So I think that's a point of reference. And then you look at, but they do have the most best players on one team assembled. Obviously, they got some of the edge of the tier of the elites, right outside of that top 3, all of them on Team USA. So that's one thing to look at. But to me, this probably is going to be the most competitive year ever in terms of a threat to beat Team USA. You got Canada. I'm gonna run down some of the roster and the notable people from the NBA on these rosters. Obviously you got Canada, as y'all mentioned, Shea Gill, Jamal Murray, Dylan Brooks, RJ Barrett, Lou Dort, Kelly Olynyk, Dwight Powell, Alexander Walker. Then for France, you got your boy Ntilikina from the Knicks, Jamie, one of your boys. For Evan Frontier, another former Knick, Wemby and Gobert, which I mentioned. And then you got Serbia with Joker and Bogdan Bogdanovic. And you got Greece. You got Greek Freak on that team.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the rankings. I think the biggest threat would be I'm thinking I'm gonna go with Canada. I'm gonna go with Canada because they got a lot of mix and match pieces that you can kind of interchange and have the deepest, NBA roster. But I think chemistry goes a long ways in this tournament. But the one thing that I'm gonna knock the Team USA on is the coaching. Steve Kerr to me is overrated as a coach. He's very stuck. He's very stuck in his ways with small ball. Putting his rotation patterns, putting in the wrong people at the wrong time. I think there's been some griping going on. So we look at it. What's the name is completely out of the rotation. The guy for Indiana Pacers. The point guard. Hallenberg. He's completely out of the rotation.
Are you looking at my notes?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Hey, I do my research, man. That's what we're here for, baby.
I'm like, man, what are you doing?
So he's completely out of the rotation. I mean, his minutes went from like 15 one game to maybe 10, and then no minutes at all. I think game 3 or maybe 5 or something like that to no minutes at all.
Yep.
So I think who's filled his void is Derek White, and my guy from Boston, the defensive specialist.
That's Derek White.
No. From the other. Not from Drew Holiday. Yeah, Drew Holiday. Those two guys have filled that void and taken those minutes from Halliburton. But again, I think he does it with the Warriors. Kerr does a lot of questionable rotations with taking people out the wrong time, putting too many guards in the lineup at once, not enough big, not enough rim protectors. So I'm very afraid. He lost the other Olympic run recently with the NBA roster, although they wasn't full of NBA players. I mean, elite NBA players, but they lost. And they questioned a lot of his coaching decisions, taking out Ant-Man at the wrong time, not playing Brandon Ingram, things of that nature, and going small at the wrong time. And, playing the little guard from the Lakers a little too much in small ball lineups. What's his name? T.A.? The white guy.
Guard.
Yeah.
From the Lakers?
The white guard for the Lakers.
Reeves,
yeah, he was on that team. Yeah, he was playing him and things of that nature. And Kerr fell in love with him, and they kind of lost a lot of those games in instances. Again, the last 2 games have been very, very close, nail biters. Sudan doesn't. The Sudanese don't even have a gymnasium, an indoor gymnasium in their country. They don't have an indoor gymnasium.
That's crazy.
And they came within one shot of beating Team USA. Fortunately, LeBron saved the team on 2 consecutive games, coming through in the clutch, even at his ripe age of 40. What is it, 40 years old now?
He older than 40. You got to be 42.
Nah, he
man, that man ain't 42, man. Stop doing that, man. Stop doing that, bro. Stop doing that.
I think when it's all said and done, man, the pride of USA is going to step in and they're going to close it out and go undefeated. But I think they're going to have some very close nail biters, and it's going to be a lot of roller coaster rides along the way as a result of Steve Kerr. I think he's going to catch a lot of flack along the way.
I got you. Listen, I thought LeBron was 46 years old. My bad. LeBron at least 52 years old. He's not. That's not right. Listen, I don't have the USA losing, but they will have more scares down the road. I do have the same stat you have. Halliburton, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, 7 minutes, 0 minutes. Halliburton was trash. I knew that with the Knicks series. I knew it. Any pressure, he backs off. He's only assertive if they're winning. If they're not winning, he cannot create a conducive offense down. He just cannot. They play great team defense. That's how Indiana got into the playoffs and made their run. They made great team defense. But Halliburton is trash to me. Very overrated. Let's talk about who they're going to play. I'm not going to go name by name, but I'll tell you this. When you talk about the caliber of player, or if we're using the NBA as an earmark of talent, right? Back in the day, that was the league. If you wanted to say you made it, you went to the NBA. In 1992, the Dream Team played 9 NBA players in the Olympics. They played 9. The 92 Dream Team, they played 9 NBA players. The 2024 Team USA will play 61 NBA players on roster throughout these Olympics. I think that's huge. And I think they have opportunities to have, if LeBron and one other person is not having an A game, they're going to struggle. LeBron cannot have a bad game. LeBron needs to probably almost average a triple-double in the Olympics. He really does. He needs high assists, high rebounds. He may not need high points, but he needs to score in the teams. And he needs to efficiently.
I agree.
This is not an Olympics that can take off. You will not see the 30, 40-point dribbles that we saw with the 92 Dream Team. I think that, like, international players you two alluded to, has definitely picked up, and the NBA is not everyone's
doormat.
Right, it's not, because some of these leagues are paying way more than NBA.
Right.
Taxes, they have other luxuries. So it's a lot of players say, okay, NBA is fine, but I'm making $8 million a season over here playing a summer. So that's part of it. If I had to choose a team, I went down and I like Spain's team, and I like their camaraderie. I like their what they've done in exhibition play. They went 2-0 in their qualifying in the Paris games. Argentina, they won 76-72, and against Puerto Rico, handily 107-84. Watch out for Spain, and they are always known to be a great team. They are always known to be a great passing team, and they play well together. They may not have a lot of notable names, but they just play well together. So my pick is going to be Spain. I had to go. Let's move it over to baseball. Baseball Mount Rushmore. Who are the 4 players you would put on baseball's Mount Rushmore? Let's go to the baseball guy first. C-Note on the money. C-Note, what position you play?
Second base, brother. In middle infield.
Middle infield. Arms way like that.
Oh yeah. We are known as the better defensive players on the field between shortstop and second base, and center field. So obviously the action goes directly down the middle of the field. That's where most of the balls come. Shortstop, second, and center. So that's why they put the best defenders there in those positions.
As far away from the baseball as possible.
They would have put you in right field and let you DH, John.
See, I'm sick. I'm not arguing at all. I don't want no position. I don't want a glove. Let me DH. DH. Hit or watch.
Gotcha.
Who you got on your Mount Rushmore?
So this was a very interesting debate here. I got a little criteria that I use to kind of break down, because there's so many different players that you could have chosen. But I kind of look at one criteria. I'm gonna pick one all-around player because we got 4 round Mount Rushmore positions. So I'm gonna look at an all-around player, a player who dominated at pitching, and a player who was a specialist as a hitter, and a person who was a specialist as a base runner. They dominated those particular.
You got one of my guys already. I can feel it.
Hey, I probably do. So first and foremost, he's my only he's one of 2 of my old school guys that I selected.
Okay.
And one of my favorite players, and he's the reason why I didn't pick Barry Bonds. And Barry Bonds is my favorite player of all time. Let's get that clear. But I didn't pick Barry Bonds because of his godfather, the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays. The Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, bro.
Willie Mays on him.
So Willie Mays, to put it in perspective, Willie Mays had 12 Gold Gloves. He's most known as for the catch, the over-the-shoulder basket catch that he had. Yes, indeed, the most famous catch of all time, defensively. He's a defensive.
More than any other catch in baseball.
Absolutely, he's a defensive savant. I mean, he's probably known as the best outfielder defensively of all time, between him and maybe Ken Griffey. But Willie Mays was the person that founded all of these fantastic, globally recognized catches. But what balanced him out, he could also hit and he could steal bases. Willie Mays was an elite hitter. He hit 40 home runs per season from 1954 to 1966. Think about that, 40 home runs per season from 1954 to 1966. So that means he one of the best outfielders of all time, and he was one of the best hitters of all time. He hit for average, and he was he led the league in stolen bases for 4 straight years. So think about, he has no weaknesses. He's probably a 9 or a 10 in every statistical category on the baseball field. So Willie Mays is definitely on my Mount Rushmore as the all-around talent, an all-around player. Again, I would have taken Barry Bonds. He has a few blemishes on his resume because of the steroids, but so I took his godfather, Willie Mays, who's the founding father of the all-around player. All right. So the next player, I'm going with let me see. I'm going with, who do I have here? Yeah, Greg Maddux. Greg Maddux is my next player. The best, to me, the best pitcher of all time, because he did it with skill over just physical talent. He did it with pinpoint accuracy, pinpoint location. I mean, he had 4 consecutive Cy Young awards. That's unheard of.
That's crazy.
4 consecutive Cy Young award. He was a part of a winning tradition with the Atlanta Braves. They dominated the National League. You know, they did finally win a World Series, but they dominated the National League during his era. Obviously, he had a lot of co-pitchers along with him, with Greg Maddux and Smokes and all of those guys.
They have a nice bullpen.
Right. So he has the most complete games with fewer than 100 pitches. So, you know, the pitching count is usually you want to stay under 100. That's like a measuring stick for a starting pitcher. You want to keep them around under 100 or a little over 100. He has the most complete games for under 100 pitches. Greg Maddux also, they have a stat that they named after him. It's called the Maddux. And that consists of 300 plus wins, 3,000 strikeouts, and fewer than 1,000 walks on your career. So he was just, the movement on the baseball when Maddox pitched and his pinpoint location separated him from everybody. So he's the pitcher that I went with that's on my Mount Rushmore that did it without dominating with physical talent.
Okay.
The next person that I have that dominated as a base runner is Rickey Henderson. That's my guy. That's probably somebody that you picked. I was torn between Rickey Henderson and Ozzie Smith because Ozzie Smith was the best defensive infielder to me of all time, and he was a specialty in that position, but he didn't balance out the game enough from a hitting perspective to get on my list. So I went with Rickey Henderson. He was a historian in terms of stolen base records. I mean, he dominated every imaginable base running statistic that you could ever think of. I mean, he was a trash talker. He was brash. He was, matter of fact, he had 50% more stolen bases than a runner, all-time runner-up on the second. That was second in stolen bases, which was Lou Brock.
Yep.
So he dominated that stat. He also was a hitter. He lead the major league in leadoff home runs for the history of the game. Leadoff home runs was his thing. Walk-off leadoff home run. Usually you want your leadoff runner on base.
Let's start the game off going deep.
Yes. I mean, he was just dominant at what he did. So Rickey Henderson, in his dominant way, he has to be on my list. So far I have Willie Mays, I have Greg Maddux, and I have Rickey Henderson. And the last person on my list is Ted Williams. Ted Williams, one of the people that a lot of people don't know. He's a baseball purist. He's known as the best pure hitter of all time. Only player to average 400 in a season.
Yep.
Ted Williams had a book called what was Ted Williams' book called? Let me see 1 second. It was called The Science of Hitting. So he was like the god of hitting the baseball. Everybody would do research on the way he saw the ball. They said he was so great he could see the threads and the laces on the baseball while it was traveling, upward 90, 95 miles per hour. That's how keen his vision was and how well of a hitter he was. Again, batting 400 in baseball is unheard of. You bat 300, you go to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for sure.
This guy was averaging 400 in the season. He was age 39 and 40 in 1957 to 1958. This guy led the major league in hitting. Think about it, leading the major league in hitting at age 39 or 40. That's on some. That's past what LeBron is doing now. If you really put it in perspective, leading the major leagues in hitting at those ages. So you got to put him on. So his specialty was a pure hitter. So I have a pure hitter on my Mount Rushmore, a specialist in the stolen base department. I have a lead pitcher on my Mount Rushmore, and an all-around baseball player. And those are my Mount Rushmore guys.
That's a nice lineup. TA, come on with it.
Man, listen, when y'all throw these questions out, man, y'all trying to stump me with this stuff, man. This baseball ain't, I ain't played baseball since Kitty League, man. When all that was going on, man. So I had to go but it was a great question, man. When you're talking about the Mount Rushmore, like you said, it's not about necessarily the greatest, but it is about impactful people in those areas. And so my four most impactful for what I know about baseball, we're just going to start off with who's arguably just kind of the godfather of it, which is Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth is going to go on my Mount Rushmore. No, I didn't get to see him play. You talking about 19, 13, 14, 15. But as much as we talk about his hitting and his power hitting in that time, and we judge him in that era, 714 home runs, right? But looking up stats and looking up statistics, the thing that most people don't realize is he had a winning record as a pitcher as well, with a 2.28 ERA, about 95 wins, 45 losses. And so you're dealing with somebody who could do it on both sides of the diamond, much like Shohei Ohtani is doing right now. So just imagine him back in the early 1900s. And so I would start off with Babe. Then I know this may cause some controversy, but the greatest hitter of all time, who is unfortunately not going to ever be in the Hall of Fame due to gambling allegations. I got to put Pete Rose on there, man.
Oh, Pete. Okay.
Man, I got to put Pete Rose on there, man.
Respect on that one, TA.
I got to put Pete Rose on there, man, because at the end of the day, you know, again, just kind of like Barry Bonds and the Mark McGwire and the steroid era, some stuff doesn't necessarily alter the game. It's bad for the game, but it doesn't necessarily alter the game. And him gambling on the game is obviously bad for the game of baseball, but it didn't have anything to do with the 4,000 hits he accumulated. 100 more hits than the next best hitter.
TA, he bet on himself as well. It ain't like he bet against himself. He bet on himself to win.
Right.
But didn't really impact the game. I agree with you on that.
And so, so you're dealing with a guy who had over 4,000 hits, had over 100 hits from the next leader of Ty Cobb. So I got to put Pete Rose on there. Then my next person is Ken Griffey Jr. Ken Griffey Jr. goes on my Baseball Hall of Fame, much like Allen Iverson goes into my all-time greatest players, not just simply because of the stats, because he obviously has the stats to back it up, but his impact on the game. Ken Griffey, from a cultural, iconic impact, man, the swing. You talking about baseball, a baseball guy that's got a Nike shoe deal, the backwards hat, man, listen, everything about Ken Griffey was just a cultural phenomenon. I love Ken Griffey Jr. And what his impact on the game was. And then last but not least for me, with the pitching standpoint, my guy, the closer, the Sandman, Mariano Rivera. Rivera goes on my Rushmore. You talking about 5 World Series rings, 652 saves, all-time saves leader. Listen, I was a Yankee guy. I love watching the Yankees play. But one of the things you understood when Mariano came in the game is that it was lights out. It didn't matter 1-run lead, 3-run lead, whatever the case may be. Mariano, and in the biggest situations, he was going to close it out for the Yankees. And so, you can't argue with the stats and the numbers on that. But those 4 guys, Babe Ruth, Ken Griffey, Pete Rose, Mariano Rivera, because of their cultural and statistical impacts on the game, those are my Mount Rushmore guys for baseball.
Well done.
Those are 8 great players, and everybody named 1 or 2 more that they could possibly put up there. I'm gonna be quick with mine. One of the most electrifying players I've ever watched is Mark McGwire. I know he's in the steroid era. I absolutely love the chase. The chase did something that it had casual fans tuning into ESPN to see if Sosa or McGwire went deep. What's the count? Who's next? Andres Galarraga. They had a couple more people in that pack. He ended up breaking away and breaking the record. But I love to see Big Mac at the mound. Big Mac looked like he had a toothbrush in his hand. That son was swole at that plate. And when he hit it, he would toss that bat to the side, just like, I'm done with this. Okay. And he chopped around those bases, man, like a dinosaur. Hey, I love watching Big Mac at the plate, man. And he made a lot of pitchers pay for trying to go inside seam on it. The next player that I grew up in my era, I'm going with Cal Ripken. When you talk about longevity, you talk about endurance, you talking about 2,632 consecutive games played the game of baseball, right? You talking about getting hit with baseballs, diving. He's doing it at an elite level at the shortstop position. And it says that is one of the top most unbreakable sports records of all time. To play 2,632 consecutive games. Nobody's even close. So I got Big Mac, I got Cal. Pitching wise, I'm more of a dominant pitcher. So I went with the 7-time no-hitter, the league leading strikeout king, the Ryan Express, Nolan Ryan.
Nolan Ryan.
I love Nolan Ryan. It's just something about that era in baseball when it was just about, I'm gonna get the ball past you. I don't have a lot of pitches. I'm just gonna put the ball behind you before you can hit it. Like,
Number one.
like catch it. Can you get it? It's coming 103, 104. Do something with it. Turn on if you can. If not, you out with 3 pitches. He ended his career with 5,714 strikeouts. The closest guy has 800 less strikeouts than Nolan Ryan.
He was feared.
7 no-hitters. The closest guy to him has 4. So those are one of those inconceivable stats. Like, we don't know if we'll ever see it again. And I went with Mr. 73 home run, Barry Bonds. I love to see Bonds up to the bat, taking that thing out to McCovey Cole with that RoboCop strap on. He got to unstrap it 9 times to go to first base after he hit that ball over the whole stadium. Bonds was electric. I know he has things behind his name, but if I wanted to turn on the tape and say I want to watch baseball highlights, I was
watching Bonds.
In 2024, I would watch Cal Ripken play. Smooth, solid defensive player, underrated offensive side. Of course, some of the stats are due to how long he played. Nolan Ryan, absolute bringing the smoke. You know what you're going to see. The same thing with Big Mac. I can watch Big Mac home runs and Barry Bonds home runs right now because they just that impactful, just that electrifying. Yeah. Hey, James, when Bonds hit that thing, boop, he gonna look at it and then he gonna unstrap for about 45 seconds, undo it, take it off, hand it to somebody. Hey, that was a good time, man.
Anytime you got a McCovey Cole reference, you done did something.
Oh yeah. Hey, see them people out there in McCovey Cove with their canoes, diving, trying to get that Bonds ball. Man, I thought that was something cool, bro.
Yeah.
Team USA women's basketball. After Team USA defeat the Team WNBA All-Stars, do you think they made a mistake leaving off Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese? Talk to me, TA. Oh,
Listen.
you don't want to.
Man, when he started out with listen,
man.
Bro.
I'm so sick of hearing about these two folks, man. Listen, but it's good for content, man. It's good. Listen, everybody doing it. Everybody, listen. These two young ladies are absolutely pivotal for the WNBA and the success going forward. So I'm not going to take anything away from the two of them.
Okay.
But if we're talking about the WNBA and Team USA, it depends on what it is you're asking. Did they make a mistake by leaving them off? If you're talking about media attention, yes, obviously. If you want to get eyes on the game, you need to have names that draw attention. Those two names draw attention. They're polarized. If you're talking about going over there winning, when was the last time the Team USA women's basketball team was even close to losing a gold medal? So no, they're not in any danger of losing the gold because Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are not on the team. Here's the thing. In that game, Caitlin Clark had 4 points. 4. Angel Reese had like 12. They're not impactful enough to overthrow anybody. Now, who they should be asking about is that Arike Ogunbowale.
Yeah.
This young lady put up 30 points in an All-Star game against Team USA. And she should be on. Now, listen, she's averaging 22 for the season, 5 rebounds, 4 assists for a team that's not really good, but she's amazing. So what they need to be asking, the question should better be why she's not on the team. And when I went back and did a little research, she said, listen, I wasn't committed to it because they didn't act like they really wanted me there. So I wasn't going to spend my summer, spend my time working out for the team. Listen, she's impactful.
Yes,
30 points in an All-Star game, she's the impact. But now, again, the question was, did they make a mistake? No, because if they're just going over there to try to win the gold, they're going to win that gold with the ladies they have on the team.
Second 5.
And Caitlin Clark, let me just say this because I know y'all got some different opinions possibly on this. Caitlin Clark is at least another 2 years away from being the player we really think she is. She's not that person right now. Anyway, she turns the ball over too much. She shoots horrific right now from the three-point line as far as just efficiency. She's fun to watch. She reminds me of a Steph as far as ball handling and things of that nature. Again, not knocking Steph, but I'm just saying a younger Steph version of what she can do. But no, they didn't do anything wrong by leaving them two off the. They didn't do anything wrong by leaving those two off that team. Oh, last thing, as a big man, I just need Angel Reese to look. I need for it to look better. It looks bad.
Optically.
The optics of it is bad.
Yeah.
I got it. Come on with it, C-No. What you think?
Bro, agree with TA 110%. I mean, these two girls, again, if you're looking for eyeballs on the TV, of course, add them on there.
Yeah.
But if you're looking to win, and did they deserve to be on the team from a talent standpoint? Not yet. They need to earn their keeps. And I think most importantly, they need to keep these two girls together. They're driving the WNBA almost single-handedly, those two. Keep them together. Don't separate them. If you're going to add one, add both of them. If you're going to sit one out, sit both of them out. But like TA said, they're not. Angel is a lot more ready than Caitlin because I think she's closer to her max potential than Caitlin is. If you look at it, Angel is doing the exact same thing in terms of dominating. She dominated in college, doing the exact same thing that she's doing now. Double queen in college, double queen in WNBA. She's a little more efficient in college. Of course, she's gonna get a little better here and there on efficiency, but in general, Angel is kind of what she's going to be. Again, she might get a little better efficient wise, but Caitlin is, like TA said, Caitlin is 2 or 3 years away from reaching her max potential. She needs to get a little bit more physically ready in terms of being prepared. She wasn't prepared physically for the WNBA game, and it's affecting her efficiency and her shot making. She reminds me more of Steve Nash, not necessarily Steph Curry. She has a good shot, but she's a better passer than she is a shooter right now. Of course, she has a lot of turnovers, but I'm impressed with her instincts with finding the angles and finding the open player. She takes a little bit too many risks. She's a little bit too careless with the ball, and also they physically overwhelm her and take the ball away from her sometimes because she's not strong enough. But she's not ready to be on the Olympic platform. If you think about it, Angel Reese and Clark are 1 and 2 in the WNBA in jersey sales. That just came out recently. I mean, it's by a long shot. They over Asia Wilson and all of those girls. So just keep them together, and they're gonna have their own regime. They'll be a part of the next Olympic group. Keep them together. Let them be like the spearheads of the two faces. The two faces, not one for the two faces of the next Olympic team when they're a little bit more seasoned in their craft. The Angel Reese will be a little more efficient. Caitlin will be a little bit less careless with the ball.
Yep.
And she'll be more efficient. And then we may see that more efficient shooting percentage that Steph Curry has, from three and all of that. But again, she didn't do well in the they tried to overhype that she broke the assist record, which she did. But she had 4 points. She had one wide open layup on the fast break that was uncontested. So she almost had 2 points. And she went 0 for 7 from 3 points. She was 2 for 9 from the field. Very inefficient. But Angel actually shot 50%, 11 rebounds, 12 points, double. You can almost write her in and pencil in for that every game. She did her thing. She was actually the second best player on that team for the All-Star game. But again, I'm withholding them both out and letting them mature and come in to the next Olympic game as a two-headed monster, as the leaders of their team, as opposed to being bench riders on this one.
They definitely would that be. I agree with you both. We won't beat a dead horse on that. Albert Lake had an interesting point. He says, I think Caitlin Clark is burnt out. A lot of minutes played in college. She wasn't getting no sub in college. So they were around her and went straight to playing in the WNBA. Definitely could be overwhelming. She went straight from Iowa to training camp to heavy minutes. heavy minutes in the WNBA. You know, so yeah, that definitely could be the case for her. But I like what they're doing. I don't like making changes based off of popularity, because what do you do when the popularity is not there, and you have a player that's not popular, but they are doing better in the WNBA in their rookie season? Do you automatically go and insert them into an Olympic team that may not need them or deserve or may not deserve to be there? You have people that have been putting in, 2, 4, 6, 8 years of work, and this is their first opportunity. So I think that it's just one of those things where
and it sets a bad precedence for a popularity contest. This is not a popularity contest. This is not who's who. Right. It sets a bad precedence. You got to put the players who are playing the best and who are most deserving, the veteran experience and all of this stuff. You prioritize them. You can't put the young phenom in there that didn't really deserve just because they have a lot of Instagram followers and all of this stuff. You can't do that. And like TA said, Enrique has 2 All-Star MVPs. She was the best player on the floor those 2 games.
Yep.
If anybody deserves it, it's her. You may can take somebody out for her, but nobody. Caitlin and Angel are not dominating the game by any stretch of the imagination.
I agree with you. Yeah, like I said, TA said it earlier. Their second unit could win a gold. That's how far the WNBA's best, our best in the USA, is versus the world. Now, in the next 10 years, will we see more parity? Possibly. Kalisha says, "Oh Lord, okay, she tired." Like Anthony Jesus Maurice. Anthony Edwards was talking about he was tired in the NBA playoffs. She do not like nobody to say they tired. He can't play a game. Oh man, she ain't gonna give her no break. Listen, we're on to the next topic of the night. The next topic of the night is underrated superstars, possibly in the NFL. NFL offensive superstar and one defensive superstar who don't get their recognition. Who do you think is underrated right now? I'm gonna take one offensive player and one defensive player. Let's go, Thomas. Please don't let it be a Cowboy, please.
Oh man, listen, man. It was hard. This was hard because
hey, James, I guarantee you're gonna have some Cowboy history.
Hey, listen, man. Hey, man, listen, Linda. When you say it's an oxymoron, man. When you say underrated and superstar in the same sentence, the whole idea of being a superstar is that you're probably not going to be underrated. But I kind of get the premise of the question, right?
It's kind of the forgotten about guy.
Yeah, forgotten about guy. So I get the premise of the question. Well, my offensive guy, I'm going up to the NFC North out of Minnesota. TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson led all tight ends and receiving receptions and receiving yards. Only thing he did not lead in was touchdowns. And here's the thing. Everybody would think it would be Travis Kelce. You think it'd be George Kittle because they got better teams. Obviously, Travis Kelce's got the better quarterback. But TJ Hawkinson did this with a backup because Kirk Cousins got hurt last year. So he did this with Joshua Dobbs and Nick Mullins on the squad. And TJ Hawkinson led the league in all tight ends in receptions. The dude is a monster. If you've ever watched him, he is an elite tight end. He's an elite route runner. He does not have elite speed, but he has elite hands and elite route running capability. So that's my offensive guy. If you're talking about a superstar from the offensive end that may be underrated. Defense, I bet you guys cannot guess who's the all-time leader for interceptions, return for touchdowns in a single season. I'm gonna give you 2 seconds to think about it.
Man, interceptions, Cowboys, man, get out of my face, man.
Man, here we go. DeRon Bland, Cowboys quarterback, 25 years old, Fresno State University, led the league last year in interceptions return. No, he led the league with interceptions with 9. Then he led the league with interceptions return for touchdowns in all-time history with 5. Do you know how hard it is to not only get an interception, but return it for 6? Returning for 6, he did that 5 times last year. You guys don't have a clue who DaRon Bland is because y'all don't watch good football. Y'all stuck watching the Commanders and the Ravens every week. So,
swear.
DaRon Bland.
Dude name, man.
Listen, remember that name. Trayvon Diggs got hurt. DaRon Bland stepped up last year. He is a superstar on the rise. He is somebody who gets a lot of credit from Cowboy fans because we watched him last year. You guys will hear more about him this year now that Stephon Gilmore's gone. That's my offensive and that's my defensive person. Underrated superstars. Listen, you can't argue with the stats. You can argue with me. You can't argue with the stats.
On my homework, I said, you watch. This dude gonna say Bland as his I knew it. See, note on the money. Come on, man. Who your offensive defensive player?
If you tell Thomas not to touch, the hot stove, you better believe his hand gonna be burnt to Chris.
Inside the stove, man.
Hey, he was not gonna stay away from the Cowboys, bro.
You gotta listen. Argue with the can't argue with the numbers. Argue with something else.
I agree with you, man.
Hey, so I got two guys that are on the list, but they're not actively in the NFL. So my guys are not active.
Okay.
So my underrated superstar, inactive guy that's kind of slipped on, that's fell under the radar. Not necessarily fell under the radar, but don't get enough credit or don't get the credit that I feel that they deserve in terms of the all-time list or all-time historians of the game. Is my first guy is Andre Johnson, man. Andre Johnson of the Texans. He was a monster.
Yeah.
He was a monster. Can anybody name Andre Johnson quarterback while he was in the NFL? The only one I can think of is Schaub, and he was a nobody.
Yeah, Matt Shaw is probably the only one I can think of.
He was like a top. He was a number one or top 3 receiver in the NFL during this time for at least 7 or 8 years during his stretch. Despite not having a good quarterback. You know how hard that is to do? I'm gonna run off some of his numbers. He had 3 seasons over 1,500 yards. Over 1,500 yards. He had 8 seasons over 1,000 yards. And his best season was 2012, where he played 16 games. He has 112 receptions, and he had 1,598 yards, basically 1,600 yards.
Yeah.
1,600. Think about that with no quarterback. He was dominant, man. He was I think he's a top, I would say 15 receiver all time.
Yeah, definitely not named. What you got on the defensive side?
Defensive side, bro. This is gonna bring back some memories. A lot of people slept on him, and he's a very forgotten talent. Chris Doleman. That's a throwback, bro.
I like it.
So Chris Doleman, he was very, very dominant during his time. He had 8 seasons where he had over 10 sacks. 8 seasons, over 10 sacks. His best season, this is a very forgotten season, he had 21 sacks.
I never heard that.
21 sacks. This was in 1989. They had Anthony Carter and all them boys.
Yeah,
you remember
Anthony
Carter?
I know your team.
Yeah. And he had a season where he had 14 sacks. And he had a season where he had 2 seasons where he had 14 sacks. Actually, 3 seasons with 14 sacks. 3 14-sack seasons. To me, what was most impressive about him, he played in the league for 15 seasons. His last 3 seasons he had 3 seasons with the 49ers.
Yep, I remember that.
And he had 11 sacks, 12 sacks, and 15 sacks. This is when he was on his way out the league as an old man. 12 sacks, 11 sacks, and 15 sacks. And he went out, and then he finished his career with the Vikings, went back to them just to retire, and he had an 8-sack season that year. But he played 16 games
no slouch.
He played 16 games, 6 seasons in a row, except for his very last season. He played all 16 games as an old man, getting double-digit sacks. So think about that. I thought he was very underrated.
Definitely underrated. I went with, from my perspective, I went with a couple players that I think will make a huge impact this season, underrated, and could possibly make the difference in their teams. I went with my first player. I went with Cincinnati, running back position. Joe Mixon out. They're bringing in a fifth-year veteran, solid fifth-year veteran, Zach Moss. I like Zach Moss in Cincinnati. 20-year-old, 183 carries, 4.3, just shy of 1,000 yards this past season.
I like Zach Moss.
I think he joins the Bengals offense at that position to where he gives them more versatility in the passing game. I think with Joe Burrow coming back, they're going to lean a little heavier on the running game. So I like Zach Moss. I like that name to go into Cincinnati, do some, being a pass-happy offense. But you got Burrow coming back with injury. They're going to lean on the passing, short passing game as well. I like Zach Moss there. The next person I did not want to pick because I'll be seeing him in the NFC East. No, it is not a Cowboy. Just FYI, just in case you were wondering, it is not. But I don't like, and I do like, but I don't like Bryce Huff going to Philadelphia as an edge rusher. 26-year-old, 10 sacks, only played 42% of the defensive snaps last year for the Jets. So he played part-time ball for the Jets and put up 10 sacks. And the same thing with the Eagles said, I like this concept. They said that we don't play our edge guys 90% of the time. We believe in having fast balls off the edge and getting guys in the game. So you're looking at probably an increased snap count, but he won't be worn down by the run game. He won't be, playing a lot of first downs. He coming in second, mainly third downs, fresh. And I think he's going to have an impact on that Eagles front pass rush. We're going to end the night with a little boxing. Which current boxing match would you like to see, and who do you think would win? Who do you want to see right now in the boxing world? And give me your very quick celebrity match of all time. Who do you want to see if you could put one quick match together from that standpoint? C-Note on the money. Who's your current boxing match? What you want to see?
You said current or all time?
Your current and your all time.
Okay, the current one that I would like to see is the one that's highly touted in the media right now, which is Shakur Stevenson versus Gervonta Davis. That's going to be a absolute chess match for the boxing purists as well as the boxing casuals. The boxing purists, a lot of us like Shakur Stevenson because of his technical style. He's very technician. He understands space and distance, and kind of how to hit and not get hit, which is a boxing, kind of a traditional thing. Speak talk in boxing. And Gervonta Davis is just Mike Tyson, modern day Mike Tyson. He's just exciting, explosive. He's also a boxer. The purists like Gervonta Davis as well. But he has the purists and the casuals on his side. People that's never seen a boxing match in their life is going to see Gervonta Davis and automatically just fall in love with his style of fighting and his the excitement that he's able to deliver night in, night out. So I would love to see that matchup. It's going to be like a chessboard game. You're going to have the shark that's hunting his prey, and Gervonta Davis is strategically trying to set Shakur up. You're going to have Shakur that feels like the scientist, the Albert Einstein, if you will, that's trying to figure out how to crack the Rubik's Cube that is Gervonta Davis, and how to be the first person in history to beat him in a professional match. I think it's going to be a very, very good match. I hope it comes to fruition. Shakur right now is a free agent. He is no longer with Top Rank. So he has the flexibility to sign with anybody he wants. And he has the leverage to negotiate a deal where he mandates that Gervonta Davis is his next opponent, as so long as Gervonta Davis is willing. So I think both of them are seeking each other out. Both fighters are in their prime. It's very rare that you can have two fighters in their prime, undefeated, never been beaten, totally dominating their competition. Now, Shakur dominates his competition. It's just not aesthetically pleasing to watch him from a standpoint from a casual. But again, the purists enjoy watching it because it's more of a chess game with us. And he dominates his opponents via points. He wins every round. Like if you go look at the scorecard in all his fights, he wins 11 rounds to 1, if you will. Gervonta Davis dominates his opponents in a polar opposite fashion. You know, he's knocking them out. They're not getting past 6 or 7 rounds ever. You know, he's totally dominating. So again, you can see the clashing of the two contrasting styles meeting, and you can see how that can be very, very exciting and something that everybody's anticipating. So I'm picking Shakur. I think if Shakur is definitely gonna win the points battle with Gervonta. The question is can Gervonta knock out Shakur? Shakur is known as the best defensive boxer in the history of the game. He up there with Floyd Mayweather in terms of statistically. You know, he has the best plus minus in boxing history right now. Wow. Meaning that he leads in hitting his opponent versus them hitting him. That's what they mean by plus minus. You look up the stats. And so defensively, if Gervonta can't knock him out, Shakur will win the fight from a point standpoint. But a lot of people can't imagine Gervonta not knocking the person out he fights. So that's the tug of war in that. So that's my selection with that particular bout. I'm very excited about that fight. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. So my fantasy bout would be from like all time, any two people that some you can't really possibly see because of the errors that they fought in. It would be Terrence Bud Crawford against Floyd Mayweather. Terrence Bud Crawford is, to me, the number 1 pound for pound best fighter out right now. He's the most aggressive and competitive fighter that I've seen. I mean, he has a relentless nature to him that he's so determined that he's not gonna lose. He hits a switch. If somebody hit him, it's almost like he hits a switch where he goes from 0 to 10, and he just see red, and it's like he's not gonna stop swinging at you. He's not gonna stop coming from you, but he's skilled while he's doing it. You know, he's very skilled and tactical, and at the same time, he's hunting you like he's a lion hunting a prey. I mean, but I would love to see that versus Floyd's defensive mastermind and strategic way of going about doing things. Floyd is one of the best boxing purists. I will have him in the GOAT conversation. He's my GOAT in terms of boxing. I mean, anybody can. The fact that he went 50-0, he fought all the best guys eventually throughout his career, dominated in the Olympics. I think he's an Olympic silver or bronze medalist. I mean, he did it on all the levels, and you can't argue with somebody that has never been beaten and has never really been close to being beaten. And he's fought a lot of great fighters in his era, so I got to give it to him. So I'm gonna go with Floyd if that fight were to happen in terms of who would win. So Floyd and Bud, I think that would be a very interesting matchup.
TA, talk to me. Who you got for your boxing matches for the night?
Man, listen, I stopped watching boxing back when my grandma had pay-per-view and Mike Tyson was this. But I did watch Shakur Stevenson's last fight. I liked watching him. So I'm with C-Note. As I looked at it and kind of researched it, I would love to see him and Gervonta Davis fight. I think now again, I don't know enough about the technical aspect. I want to see Gervonta Davis just knock him out, but I don't know that would really happen just watching how Shakur Stevenson fights. But for my fantasy all time, I want to see Pacquiao Mayweather, but I want to see it 5 years earlier than when they actually had that fight. I want to see them actually go at it when they were both I want to see them go at it when they were both really kind of in their prime, at their height. Like when they got into that, when they had that fight, man, Pacquiao, it was still decently competitive, but man, it wasn't worth the hype that had built up around it for however many years they had been kind of talking about it. I want to see that fight happen much earlier. Another fantasy fight, I would like, and again, I'm not a boxing purist. I'd love to see Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson I just want to see the dog in Mike Tyson just see if he can actually whoop Muhammad Ali, which he can't. But I think Muhammad Ali would win it. But I just like that aggression that Mike Tyson had in his youth of just getting after it. But from a boxing standpoint, I haven't just seen it a lot. But I do like Gervonta Davis if I had to pick somebody from this era to really follow.
Mm-hmm. Let me add this. I would say we kind of seen that Mike Tyson and versus Ali fight in the sense that a person that mimicked his style back then was Joe Frazier, and Joe Frazier beat Ali. They fought 3 times. Frazier won once, and Ali won twice. It was the best. It was one of the best fights of all time. Frazier was relentless. He was an animal in the ring. He was very aggressive. Reminds you a lot of Mike Tyson in terms of his punch power and his ferocity and the aggression that he approaches his opponent with. But eventually, Ali outboxed him. But Frazier embarrassed Ali that first match. He beat him up bad.
That's all I got. All I have is my fantasy boxing name, which is Ali and Tyson. I wish I could tell you the last boxing match I tuned into to watch ring to bell or whatever, however they start the matches, ring girl to the bell. I can't remember. It had to be Riddick Bowe, Holyfield era. I swear. When Tyson
Hey, John, you ain't seen a match since Tyson beat Holyfield era.
I promise probably the last time. Now, I got social media, so you can't get away from it, But I couldn't tell you 3 boxers right now in no class. I couldn't, and I don't know. He just was drawn away from boxing. I think it had a certain appeal at a certain time. Mike Tyson was larger than life. And you had those household names like Holyfield and Riddick Bowe, Buster Douglas, it was just different. Lennox Lewis. When those names passed, Lennox Lewis, those heavyweights passed, I hadn't turned the TV on to say, man, I got to go watch this boxer. And I want to get back into it, see who's out there. I'm the same way with baseball, really, though. I used to be huge into Yankees. Like I can tell you 5 or 10 Yankees now, but I'm not tuning in like I was when Mariano Rivera and that crowd was there. It was just a different appeal. So I'm going with Ali and Tyson. Of course, I just want to see what happens. I want to see a technician versus the brawler. Can Ali make his dodge? Can he float like a butterfly and sting like a bee? Or does the piranha, the pitbull, get to him first, second round? So that's where I am with that. And that's our show for today, guys. We've had a phenomenal show. We've covered a multitude of topics. We've kept it right at the hour mark. And we're going to do our parting shots. We're going to start with C-Note on the money for your parting shots tonight.
All right. I like to kind of get everybody to be more mindful of overthinking things. Sometimes we have a tendency to overthink, and it just processes in our mind over and over again. When you overthink, you gotta understand what it does to the brain and what you're feeding your brain. It's really what you're doing when you're practicing a problem, if you will. Think about it, practicing a problem. Anytime you're practicing something, you're reinforcing it over and over again. And then it creates and it triggers, a form of trauma in the fear department of the brain, which the housing part of the brain that houses fear is the amygdala. So the amygdala houses that part. So when you activate that part, you in the frontal lobe aspect, it reinforces like optimism and positive thinking. So when you're like practicing these problems, you're sending a message to the brain that's telling you that like, oh, I recognize this because it's a pattern for you. Anytime you send in the brain is conditioned to recognize patterns for the most part. So any pattern that you're practicing is going to go to that part of the brain first. That's how you activate the amygdala as opposed to the frontal lobe. So you're basically reinforcing to your brain that, okay, I recognize this. he's practicing this problem. So let me feed him this thought. The thought that is going to feed you is fear when you're practicing that problem because you're activating the amygdala. So you got to get around that by a cognitive behavioral approach and thinking about replacing that problem with something positive or reframing the question or the messaging that you're sending yourself and reframing it in a more positive manner so you can practice pushing those thoughts toward the frontal lobe area, which is the optimistic side. So just something to leave y'all with.
Hey, that's dope. Let's go with it. TA.
Listen, Whitney Houston told us in The Greatest Love of All, I believe the children are the future. She said, teach them well and let them lead the way. Listen, we are getting ready. I'm working in education, man, and we're getting ready to start another school year. And just to go back to that refrain, I think the idea behind every good student is having a good teacher. And teaching starts not just in the building, but it starts at home. So parents, listen, kids, they're dealing with a lot. And I'm one of those people who is a realist when it comes to the different behaviors that our kids are exhibiting. It's different, but it is still a lot going on in the world. And so we can't overlook what students are having to experience with social media, the different temptations that are going on. Yes, we had the same things, but it looks totally different in today's time. So listen, I know sometimes it feels like you're talking to a brick wall. It was the same way when we were coming up, but keep teaching. Teach them well because they still are our future, and they're still the future doctors, lawyers, technicians, and everything that we need for this world to be a success. It starts right now with you. It starts right now with this school year. Have a great school year to everybody. Y'all be safe, but most of all, keep teaching.
That's it. Dope. Come on with it, educator. Life is a series of moments, each offering a chance to learn, grow, and make a difference. Embrace the challenges and cherish the victories and never stop striving to be the best version of yourself. Every experience, whether it's a setback or triumph, is an opportunity to gain wisdom and strength. By facing adversity with resilience and celebrating your success with humility, you carve a path of continuous improvement. Remember, it is not just the destination that matters. I know you've heard this before, but it's the journey and the person you become along the way. This has been Mike Talk Sports Podcast. We talk sports. Why do we talk sports?
Because you don't know how to.
Because you don't know how to. That's the reason we do.
Hey, sports is the bridge to life, man. That's the commonality of and the language of the world.
We talk sports because you don't know how to.
You don't know how to, man. Hey, we out, man. Mike Talk Sports Podcast.